Hey, you're listening to Walk-Ins. Welcome with Nick and Michael. Glad to be back for another episode with you where, as always, we're here to help you get more patients, deliver better care, get repeat visits, scale your clinic, all the things. Michael, what's up, buddy?
What's happening? You know, I feel like we haven't had a normal Thursday recording in a while.
I know, right? I know.
I don't know why. It's just been that way.
Well, I know the last one we did was about airplanes and the VFR, IFR clinic, but like, even still, that one felt weird.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like not our normal day.
So I want to get back and like shift back toward the focus of the podcast, which is marketing. You know, we always want to talk about that. Sometimes we go off into operations, we do interviews, all the things. But let's bring it back to marketing for a minute, right? So here's something that we know. We've talked about this, but we've also been experiencing some of this internally. And it's simply that if you rely on one channel for all of your marketing, it's not going to always work.
I've called it building your house on someone else's property.
Yes, especially in the paid ad space for sure. But yeah, so we talk about, you know, we're digital marketers. We're going to promote digital regularly. We get that. And we can tell you right now, like if you need a bump in your business, Google Ads will typically give you that bump. But if you strictly rely on one source, it will fail you at some point, or it's just going to cost you.
You know, it's funny. I was listening to a conversation the other day, and in full disclosure, it was Dave Ramsey. I'm going through his book, his newest one, and this isn't a plug for his book, but so far it's been pretty good. But one of the things that he talked about is, you know, he's always been a believer in that the message is what's important. The method in which you deliver that message is going to change 1,000 times over the years.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
And this is where
Yellow Pages is the great example.
That is a beautiful example. And I've never been more excited for a company to not be around anymore. Right? Just nightmare fuel in the digital world, just the way they treat their people. But anyway, but like having all of your eggs in one basket, we don't, even as a marketing agency, like we stay in our lane. We want to be a piece of the pie. Yep. We don't want to be the whole pie.
No. I mean, we have been plenty of times at this point, like I would say like a steroid shot, you know,
that's
like
good.
Where you're basically like, I need some help. I'm in pain. We can help you. But at the end of the day, if we are your only thing, you're losing out a little bit. You just are.
It's funny that you say that, because I look at the way you say that as like, I see the steroid shot as like ads.
Yeah.
And I see like SEO as like a vitamin.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway.
But sometimes you got to go to the gym too.
Branding is a vitamin.
Yeah, sometimes you got to go to the gym and work out those muscles, and a vitamin doesn't do that for you.
That's right. You're right.
So, but anyway, so all these little analogies, what are we saying? So at the end of the day, you want to be omnipresent. So omnipresent is the ultimate goal of marketing. What does that mean? Well, you know, it comes from omnipotent, all these things. Basically, that you are everywhere. And you can think of any large company, they're everywhere. They're not just digital. They're not just radio, billboard, print, TV. They're all the things. Mm-hmm. And some of them cost a lot of money. Some cost no money, just time. Community building, right? So that's one of the things I wanted to just hook into. Like, we know when we work with our different clients, the ones that have established branding tend to do better.
Right.
It's less of an uphill battle. Any of the like they have people know their community. They already basically, if we have a company, like we've seen this too. So we've had clients come to us. They have no presence. They have a website and a logo and a building, and that's it. And they don't do anything else. And so like it is a long hill battle for us sometimes. Like we're just sitting there kind of fighting things for a little bit. And then eventually with reviews and in the community kind of catching on because we're getting more patients, it slowly builds. And all of a sudden we can see the effectiveness of what we're doing even greater. We talk about it all the time. We love it when, even in our intake, we're like, what other marketing are you currently doing? And when they list off things, like, perfect, this is helpful to us because we can hook into that. So that's the goal of today's episode, is just to kind of talk about the different avenues. And we'll always promote digital, but at the end of the day, it's just like, you know, having all the ingredients makes a better pie, not just having sugar.
So, you know, it was funny. Digital gets a lot of credit, and it should. It does good work. Okay, I'm not taking anything away from it. But, you know, in my radio days, we would be driving the brand of a company, and Google would get all the credit.
Yes.
Google would get all the credit. Because what would happen is somebody would hear an ad. Well, it's not like they're going to stop their car or whatever and just call right in the middle of it. But what would happen is, let's just say it was a roofing company, for example. They would hear the ad. We would sell them on why they need the roof and why this company's the right company. And they're not calling right then. It's not an immediate need for a roof. But when they do, and they do that Google search, if that roofing company that they heard the ad on was there, let's just call it Nick's Roof.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Man, I heard that radio station talking about Nick's Roof. I already know all about this company. I know their brand. I know their messaging. I know about them. I'm just going to click on that, and I'm going to call them first because of that branding. Like, I knew what they're about.
Yep. And it's one of those, you may not know that much about them, but you're like, I have a trust factor with them because I've seen them around.
That's right.
Like, generally speaking, people will go toward the brand they recognize, even though they may not know much about them, but they recognize. So
that's right.
They'll naturally lean that way.
Well, and think about it this way: when you're driving down the interstate, it's one thing to try new restaurants in your city. You don't try new restaurants driving down the interstate.
No.
You don't go off the beaten path and go to a Bubba's Burgers. No, man, you're looking for a McDonald's, a Hardee's, or something, a Wendy's. Something that mind share, right? Like they have spent enough money to get your attention because they've built that predictable, stable, I know what I'm going to get type brand.
Yeah, like
for better or worse.
Yeah, when it comes to like the restaurant fast food stuff, it's very, I know what my expectations are, so I'm cool with it. And then if it's not a known brand to me, I'm taking a risk. And people naturally are risk averse.
Right.
And so that's where that all comes into play. But one of the things that when I was building out the notes for this, I thought that was a great like little line here. Technically speaking, when it comes to paid ads or renting space, what happens if the rent doubles or goes up? Can you keep affording those ads? Like, right? Or do you have to rethink the strategy a little bit? I know, what was it? The Facebook slab?
Well, you had the Google Snap and the Facebook Slap.
Yeah. So back in the day, back when Nick the Marketer was in his infancy, Facebook ads would be dirt cheap.
Oh.
You could do some damage with some Facebook ads with some very small budgets.
Well, TikTok did it for a while until they went into all like influencer marketing.
Yeah, exactly. Or like the little sell the product thing, which is just so funny to me. But no, so like
it's all Blue Chew now.
Depending on who you are,
that's all I see now in ads.
All I see is Vivor, which is the online version of Harbor Freight.
Okay,
lots and lots of cheap tools.
That's right.
Anyway,
wait a minute.
Anyway, so that's where it kind of goes that path of like what happens if platform changes. Like Google changes all the time. What we're doing now versus what we did 2 years ago is quite a bit different. And we've recently had we all know about GLP-1s and all that stuff. Well, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, it was a Wild West. You could just run ads on that. Nobody seemed to really care.
Right.
And then about 6 months ago, they're like, nah, we're going to regulate that all of a sudden. And then boom, we lost ad accounts that got shut down because they weren't properly regulations kicked in. And so that's the shift you have to play with. Because like you said, building your house on somebody else's property, building it, that sandcastle that's just sitting there at somebody's backyard, that's not yours. We deal with that ourselves because we're digital marketers. We don't own Google. We don't own Google ads. We don't own Facebook or Facebook ads. We don't own any platform, honestly, except the website it's sitting on. That's about as far as your ownership goes. Even your Google business profile, you don't really own. You're just leasing it.
Well, I'll make the argument that we are digital marketers today.
Yes.
Right? Because our goal is to deliver patience to our clients, right? I don't care how we deliver patience to our clients. I care that we deliver patience to our clients. And if Google stops performing, we're going to still deliver patience to our clients. We're going to find the medium that's going to work best to do.
I'm going to laugh when ChatGPT comes out with a ad-based version. Like they have
please don't ruin it.
Yeah, so they have a paid version of $20 a month per user, but that's not a lot of money. And so not many people do that.
Advertising to me, Michael, is a necessary evil. It's a necessary evil.
If it's something free that's very useful, and you know that the usefulness goes away if you want to charge for it, like the popularity goes, ads is the only option.
Well, so let me give you an example. I hate ads until I need something.
Yeah, ads are amazing
they're great when I need something.
Yeah.
Right now, I need somebody to come fix my in-ground sprinkler at my house. I need somebody it's not working because those people aren't running ads and I can't find them.
You need
right?
to like, pick a brand. Or
Yeah, well, there's not one.
Rainbird.
Yeah, well, okay, great. Rainbird. I need to write that down. The point I'm trying to make, though, is like everybody hates ads until they want it. And everybody hates targeting until it works. And here's what I mean by that as well. I am not a female. I don't wear bras. So if you're showing me lingerie and bras, I don't care. I don't want, that's not relevant to me.
Yep.
And that to me is the difference in broadcasting and targeted advertising.
Unless it's Valentine's Day.
Okay, fair. We're past that now.
Yeah, we are. We're way past it.
Now I'm getting flower ads because Mother's Day's coming up, right?
Exactly, actually.
So timing and relevance, right? But anyway, like I was going somewhere with that. It was going to be good.
I completely misled you there.
Wait, that's okay.
But it's all about the targeting side, because if you're getting the wrong targeting, I'm never going to interact with an ad. I'm annoyed with the ad.
Right.
Why are we seeing this ad?
Right.
Versus perfect targeting, we're like, actually, this is very interesting to me. And I say it all the time because, like, I get tons of camping stuff, and like, oh, that's a really useful gadget.
I have a camping trip scheduled. You know I don't do this a lot.
Yeah,
I'm getting nothing but how does it know? I'm getting tent ads like crazy right now.
Did you book a reservation somewhere for a campground?
No, we're talking. Oh, all of a sudden I kind of get it. Who owns GroupMe? Is that Microsoft or something?
Probably.
Yeah, that's where it is.
There you go.
I found it.
Connected all the dots. And I think that's
you
the
can't
part.
get away from. Oh, we were talking about necessary evil.
Yeah,
that's what it is. That's what it was.
But anyway, so it goes back to just like that's digital. We got that established, and we can tell you right now as an urgent care, if you have some patient volume and you're looking for that push to get to the next level, digital does a really great job at that.
Right.
And we know that, and we can preach that all day. But here's some other things that you need to make sure you're doing as well. Now, and here's the thing too, we've learned this internally ourselves, where we've checked a lot of these boxes internally, and they all trickle in new potential clients. And then recently we spun in some Facebook ads that actually worked. And I say actually because this is our third try or fourth try really. And the first 3 tries did nothing, just burned dollars. And so this time it actually worked. We're very happy with it. Yay, Philip, thank you so much for taking the initiative. And we love talking to our urgent cares. Anyway, but there are other pieces of that pie, because just like I said earlier, the Facebook ads are doing really well. One, because they're set up well and we have good content for them. But 2, you can't freaking escape us. Like, we are your resource. We are the toolkit. We are the, hey, we actually can't, we know what we're talking about type of thing. Hey, we have a podcast.
I mean, that could be left up for debate, I'm sure.
Maybe. We have a monthly webinar. We have a weekly podcast. Like, if you're looking for anything urgent care related, you've probably seen our name at this point because we've been doing this for a couple of years. So then all of a sudden it starts to make more sense. But like for the urgent, so taking that mindset, that's to take that mindset. So looking back at your actual urgent care. So word of mouth is one of the things that we always talk about, right? It's one of the hardest things to replicate. And the cost is time. It's rarely like a hard cost of like dollar amounts, but it's your time. Or it's simply, how do you create a program that encourages word of mouth? And so word of mouth still at the end of the day, it's one of those, it's like, hey, Nick, go to that urgent care. I had a great time. It was fantastic. You're probably going to go.
Most likely.
Yeah. So it's a very easy conversion. Very, very easy. You can mark it as referral, right? Like it's a straight referral. It's very straight to the point. But the challenge is that's me saying it one time to somebody. Probably going to end there until you decide to do that. Or I may go after somebody else and say, hey, by the way, this was great. But the reality of it is, like, as an individual, I may produce one other patient for you. Well, that's not sustainable.
It's a 1-to-1.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's not sustainable. The ROI, 1-to-1, that's all you get. So keep that in mind. Like word of mouth, it's going to bring a couple. So this starts to add up. So, we know like 20 to 30 patients per day is that break-even point for most single location urgent cares, which means you have about 600 to 900 patients a month that you need to come in. Are they all new patients? No, not necessarily. You may have some repeats mixed in there. But, 600 to 900 patients. So word of mouth may have gotten you 20 that month, maybe 30. Well, that's a good starting point, right? Like that covered a whole day potentially if you add it all up. So take that. It's like, okay. And then we have digital that may have thrown in another 150 of them or 200 of them, depending on where your budgets are. So now we're moving closer to 200 patients for that month. What else can you do? So we talk about grassroots and community, where you hook into that school, you hook into your other providers in the area that you could help as like a referral source. We even have one recent urgent care that we picked up that they actually have an on-site, was it MRI machine or just X-ray? Anyway, they were actually being referred by other urgent cares because they had a service that no other urgent care had.
Right.
And that's huge. And that didn't just happen.
It was only $10 million for the machine.
Right. And a dedicated person to do it and all that fun stuff. But the reality of it is this is something I need to remind you of. If you want the opportunity, you got to go get it. You can't just rely on that. Hey, those competitors should be sending us patients because we have this. Well, do they know about it? Right. 2, have you talked to them and built that relationship?
3, have you sent them anything?
Yeah, right. Like,
reciprocity is a huge return.
Yes, it is. And if you really want to work with someone, or you see them as like a potential, like they could really send us a lot of stuff, you got to make the first step every single time, and make sure it's a real step. Not a fluff. I'm actually dealing with some of that right now with a person that gave me a bunch of fluff up front, and I took the bait for it because it seemed pretty good. And now, as it's being revealed, there's no meat to it.
There's no substance.
No, and I called the person out on it, and I said, "You told me this," and that conversation disappeared the second you started talking to me. And now you've never brought it back up. And now I haven't got a response from them. So imagine that.
I'm sure it's awkward.
It is. So that's that big reminder. And I know it's difficult to call on someone and it feels like a cold call and it's like really awkward, but you just say, "Hey, I'm your friendly, whatever, urgent care down 2 blocks, a mile, whatever. By the way, I want to let you know we have this machine and I didn't know if you guys had that or not. And we'd love to have a conversation. Can I take you to lunch?"
That's a good one.
Yeah, can I take you to lunch, just kind of chat and just see how things are going? Because at the end of the day, with urgent cares, yes, you have your competitors, right? We get that. But you're also only competitors up to like 2 or 3 miles. Outside of that, you're kind of free range because
That's right.
People aren't willing to travel more than 20 minutes unless they just have to.
I think one of the coolest examples of this that I've ever seen is Ronald McDonald House Day at McDonald's. I don't know if this was nationwide, but I know it happened locally in Birmingham, the entire market. So I'm assuming that one company owns one guy or one company, one girl, whatever, owns all the Burger Kings. Because on that day, on their national, where they raise funds for the Ronald McDonald's House at McDonald's, all of the Burger Kings closed.
Oh.
They put a sign up on their door that said, "Go to McDonald's today. You can eat real food tomorrow." But they're trying to support the Ronald McDonald House.
That's really cool.
And that to me was like, I'm not a huge Burger King fan, but they went through the roof with me in Mindshare. Like, I'm like, that is first class.
Yeah,
that is, you call it stupid if you want, but I've never really considered Burger King a lot, but now I think about it.
Yeah.
Right. And I will go there. And I'm thinking, whoever owns these is a first-class person.
Well, that's the thing too. Deep down, they didn't just do that, right? They probably communicated with the McDonald's and said, "Hey, we're going to do this because we believe in what you're doing, and it's not going to hurt us to close for a day."
Well, the Ronald McDonald House is a legit program.
Yeah, I've been in the Ronald McDonald House,
and I know it because I'm from Memphis, and they have a huge thing with St. Jude.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. So, anyway. Like the fact that Burger King shut down their locations again, I don't know if it was national, but it was definitely here. And they shut down and they said, "Go to McDonald's and support the Ronald McDonald's House."
That's a really cool story.
I thought it was awesome. But that's a great example of competitors. They're rough competitors, like they're dog competitors.
Yeah, right. I mean, they're not the Wendy's.
That's right. That's right. That's right. You know, we have a competitor in our space.
Yes.
Right? Just the one, really.
Surprisingly.
And I'm not going to mention their name because anyway, the point I'm trying to make though is like we have sent them business because it was going to be better for our client and I wanted them to win too. Like I don't have a problem with them winning. My goal isn't to put other people out of business.
You know, so this is a good point. So think about your urgent care, think about your competitors and think about what makes different, because we ask this question all the time. What makes you different from your competitors? Well, I have this, and this. What makes your competitor different from you?
Yeah.
right? And so a good example, if you close at 6 o'clock every day, is there an evening urgent care that you could send people to, right? Because if they, and you could do it just for walk-ups. So you could have something on your sign that says, we're closed at 6 o'clock, but please visit this location for quickest service.
Right.
And you just take the sign off in the morning and no harm, no foul. But you would have that conversation with that urgent care. And that urgent care may not open in the morning. And they may have a sign that can go up and says, hey, we're only open in the afternoon or evenings. Please visit this urgent care if you need care right now. So, but anyway.
You're good.
Sorry, you kept looking and I was like,
I wanted to just make sure we're good. The timer has fallen off of our show.
Oh, fun.
It's all good.
Anyway, so
I glanced up and I'm like, where is it?
there you go.
Typically we have
But
time.
anyway, so like there's those parts where you can make those connections, and once again, it's another small feeder that may send you another 20 or 30 or 40 patients over a month to your clinic.
Correct.
And so when that happens, now you're pushing up to that 400 or 500 mark, and so you're getting closer and closer. And so all these things kind of add up, because at the end of the day, it takes all the effort. When you get to omnipresence, if one channel decides to just take a dump, like it just falls off the air, right? Right, it just
Big
falls.
old steamy pile.
Yeah, steamy pile for no good reason.
That's
Like
right.
here's a good example. You want a great example of this? Your Facebook ads account got shut down.
That's happened.
And guess what? Facebook doesn't care because they're making billions. They don't care about your $1,000. And it may take them a day, it may take them a week, it may take them a month, or never to turn that ad account back on. Or Google Ads says, you know what, your verification's trash, turn off, and it just shuts you down. So all of a sudden, that fell, the other items now keep you moving.
Right.
Keep you moving, keep you moving. So it's just something just to keep thinking about. And then the other thing that I would mention that would be pretty good, obviously you want to talk about reviews and keep those reviews, because that's an important piece of the puzzle, because that is a trust factor. But then also take a look at your actual staff. Your staff are believers in what you do. Hopefully they may hate you. I don't know.
I took a peek at our glass door. There's nothing there, but for some reason that came up on a training session I was doing today.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, I wonder if anybody said anything about us. And so I went to ChatGPT. This is review related, I promise.
Okay.
And it said 3.7 stars. Well, it got me confused with some other Nick.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, I was just fascinated by that. So
I think I've seen a previous employee posts on one of those.
I haven't seen it. I went and looked today and couldn't find anything. So
Maybe
somebody posted their job salary, but that was the extent of it.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking about. But anyway, so you have your staff, and they're important pieces of the puzzle. One, they're for the experience, right? So if you have a bad staff member, it doesn't matter how much effort you put in to bring that patient into your door. If they just screwed up the whole process, you're never going to see them again. So that's the one side of a staff, is make sure to experience well. The other side, though, is let them be the ambassador for your company. Like, let them be those, like, hey, this place is great. I know I work here, but let me tell you, like, we're doing things different, or we actually do care about our patients and all that type of stuff. Or we have this brand new service. Like, you may have 5 to 10 staff that can be just talking heads.
Yeah.
And then use them on social media. We had an interview a long time ago on this podcast with Brenda Bates.
Oh, yeah.
Mama Bear. And she's awesome. But like, she represented like what you want a urgent care manager to look like. I mean, office manager person. And she was fantastic. She loved on her staff, but then she would kick their butts if they were not doing what they're supposed to. And so I think that's just that example of like, she almost could be the mascot of that particular urgent care because she was so good with it. But that's who you want to embellish, right? Because being the doctor, yes, we understand that doctors matter and the urgent care owner matters. Some urgent care owners don't want to be known. We get that. But if you do, obviously you're going to be up there in terms of like when you're out and about and then when you're networking, because you still need a network. I'm sorry, chamber events, grand openings, all these things still matter.
They're actually bigger than you think they are.
Yes, exactly. It's one of those, it exposes you to some key people in your city that get to know you a little bit better, and then they naturally may refer you. Once again, they are not the magic bullet.
I got a text the other day from Mayor Bricado.
Oh yeah,
from Leadership Hoover, right? So, but that's a perfect example of, and I promise you, I'm not name dropping. What I'm saying though is that relationship was from a closed door that was open through a network.
Yep.
And I can't
freaking Leadership Hoover.
That's exactly what I call it. Anyway, that's another story for another time.
It is. But no, yeah, I mean, but at the end of the day, those are networking opportunities. Sometimes your networking, you make strategic networking opportunities. So we've seen this with a couple of urgent cares. Well, they will purchase or partner with a service or a company that expands who they are. And they don't just do it just to add a service. They do it because there's an access to another type of patient they've always wanted to get in front of. Could be Achmed, could be laboratory, could be maybe physical therapy related, right? Or even IV therapy, weight loss. Like these are the networking opportunities. Maybe you partner with them where you do a trade of some sort. So it's not just pure money that you bought them. But all these things add up over time, because when you start best thing you can do right now, take a look do a census data on your patients. Where did they come from? If you can figure that out. And then pull up zip codes, pull up effort, what kind of effort are you putting out in those certain areas, and see if you can connect the dots, because you'll start to see that person came through. We can see they came through online because we can track these things. And I actually remember seeing them at this event I did or whatever. So all these little things add up, and we know that here too, because we live and breathe it. We do a lot of different things right now, and they all start to add up. Just this past week, we've had 3 or 4 urgent cares talk to us because of Facebook ads that we ran. We had 2 urgent cares talk to us because they've seen our stuff. And we had an urgent care talk to us because they have been watching us for 3 years.
Right.
Actually, I'll tell you, they've been watching us and telling their marketing consultant to talk to us. So
That's so cool.
So, and this has all happened in a week and a half, which is fantastic for us. But guess what? If we just ran Facebook ads and did nothing else, only 2 or 3 of those would have come through, not 5.
Right.
And so that is at the end, it turns something from good to great very quickly. But you got to be consistent with it. If I can say anything at all, any marketing you do, what we just went through today, it has to be beyond just 1 month. If you say, let me just try this one time, it's not going to actually do anything but just waste your time.
Right.
And I'm talking about just digital marketing. Be going to an event. I'm going to go to one networking event, and that's all I'm going to do. Well, nobody's going to remember you.
That's right. No, you're absolutely right.
So, or I'm just going to do one grassroots community thing. Well, that's not going to help anybody. I don't know who you are, and they move on. And we have one of our clients, you're the cotton candy guy. And they give all the cotton candy guy, that's a community outreach. And now he's known for that, and people flock to him.
Cotton urgent care.
CC urgent care.
I think the best takeaway from all of this in my mind is just simply the number of new patients you get, or I'm going to say the sales that you make, is in direct proportion to the number of offers that you make. You're never going to build a 60 patient per day clinic if only 30 patients per day even know you exist.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't know you exist. So you have to be in all these different channels just so they know who you are, that they can raise their hand when the time is right, when they need urgent care.
Well, and I think one thing too, if you tell yourself, there's just not enough demand, you are living in a dream, because that's not real.
Healthcare is explosive right now.
Well, and that's one reason why we went into urgent care. So, in our past with generalist stuff, we had gone down to home service routes. But the problem with home services, there are certain home services there's just not a lot of search for.
Right.
People just, demand is low. Or right now in the HVAC space, it's a tough time in Alabama, because this has been the chillest weather we've ever had. Right. I've never seen 55 to 80 degree weather for weeks at a time.
Yeah.
It's brutal for the HVACs out there. But in the urgent care space, even in summer, you still have thousands of searches for urgent care help. As long as you have an actual population in the town that you're in, you're going to have demand and volume no matter what. It's never going to be, there's just not enough people out here to support this business. That's just not the case, unless you're just in the most rural area where it's you and a bunch of farmers.
Right. No, that's good, man. That's a lot of good info.
Yeah. Just pure marketing today. So
yeah, no, that's good. I love it. We want digital to be a piece of the pie.
Yep.
Make sure that you have a grassroots program. Make sure that you have a way for people to track the word of mouth. And what I mean by that is just hey, how'd you hear about us? That's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Right. And you can put that on the bottom of a form. How did you hear about us?
And don't let the default one be digital or whatever, because they're going to choose it every time.
I mean, you really want to make it a win. If somebody says, my friend Janet referred me over here, Janet who? Janet Smith. Great. Pull up Janet Smith's profile and send her a thank you note.
Yeah.
That's how you can control your word of mouth. Anyway, we're
Yeah,
going
yeah.
down different rabbit holes. Michael, this is a good episode that you put together today, man.
Yeah,
I got to
absolutely.
sneak in on this one. I was doing a training, so
Yep.
I was happy to come in on this, and thank you for putting it together. This is good content.
All right. Well, cool. All right, guys. Well, we'll catch you on the next one.
All right, we'll see you.